Alright, today in this video I'm going to act like I know exactly what I'm talking about, then of which I'm going to disclose that I have no idea what I'm talking about because Roblox is really confusing and it's a great language to learn. So here we go. In this episode I am going to make a save plot script, or however, like Sandbox, you know how you place an item, you want that item to save. That's what I'm making. Uh, I'm just gonna name this plot, so oops. I'm gonna name that plot because plots are magical, bro. Like, they're crazy, right? So then I need to do a few things. The number one thing, I'm just gonna make a script that shows us what we need to do this. So we need to uh, get the player plot. Then we need to save it. We need to load, right? That is so uncentered. Wow, that's amazing. These are essentially the only things you need to do. Now, I'm gonna show you how to do all these. I don't know how long this is gonna take. Probably take like 5 minutes. But here we go. So to get the player plot, we need to actually create a player plot, right? You may notice we have a base plate, which is quote unquote the plot. But sometimes that's not good enough, and you need to actually save, like, let's say each individual player has their own plot and there's like 6 players a game. Saving the whole plot would literally save everybody's data. And because of that, you can't really save the plot. So I'm going to make an individual folder for each player. So I'm going to do players. I'm going to get the players so just get the players of the game. I'm going to connect it to a function. Player added, connect function. You'll be using that a lot. I talk about this like every episode. Please look at my function video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to create a new folder called plot inside of the player, like this. So we have a plot here. We're making the new variable plot is equal to a new instance. I haven't instanced a new video. If you don't understand what's going on, it's like I'll link that in the description. Then we're gonna go name the plot. We're gonna name it. What are we gonna name it? Uh, hmm. Let's just name it player name plot. Uh, why isn't it? Oh, yeah, you can't do that. There. So we're naming it player.name.plot. This will essentially be Sandbox plot, or I don't know, whatever your Roblox name is. And if you join the game, we'll notice it creates a new folder inside of player. Why did I put it in the player? Yeah, we see Sandbox plot. I'm actually going to put it inside of the workspace, so it's better and easier to work with. There we go. Now if we open up workspace, we notice we have a folder when I join. Yeah, Sandbox plot. You don't want to name it your player name because it might get confused with the character and it might save your character instead of the actual plot. That's why I did plot at the end. So now we need to save that data. So I'm going to make a table called plot data. And we're going to set that to an empty array using curly brackets. Then I'm going to use get data store, game get service, data store service. Then I'm going to do loop store, ds get data store. I'm going to name this plot store. So now I have the data store. Now I'm going to do a game bind to close function. I'm just going to call upon the save function. I do that. Okay. There's a legitimate programming term for this. What I'm essentially doing is, since Roblox, Lua, and C++ and C Sharp, they all read downward, right? So they read like we read a book. We read from the top to the bottom. Well, what I'm doing here is I'm essentially assigning a variable. I'm essentially making the function call before it exists. Hopefully this works. If it errors, then oof. Let me call save to see what happens. If this works, then yeah, okay. You can't do that in C++, Lua, I guess, even though it decompiles to C++, whatever. I'm just gonna make a save function, like this. And then I'm gonna do game to bind to close. This will essentially make it so whenever the game server shuts down, don't use bind to close like this in a real game. Normally, you'd want to have a player leaving and a bind to close to make sure you save the data. But this is just to check if player data is always saves in Studio, because Studio's a little buggy. So then I'm going to create another plot data, and then I'm going to actually set plot data to another curly brackets, an empty array, like I said. Then I am going to do for index items in I pairs. We're going to do game.workspace, this right here, right? We're going to do square brackets to initialize a string, get children. We're going to, now we have that, then we're going to do a do, then we're going to table.insert it into the plot data. We're going to do the number of plot data plus 1, so it's ordered, plus 1, and then we're going to do the item.name. Right? So now we can clone it when the player rejoins. So I'm just going to put a part in server storage so I can actually clone it. Now I'm going to store and I'm going to set async, which will save the data. Player.userid. This essentially is the key that we're using. This is the key that you have to call upon to call the data when the player joins. And then we're going to do the table, plot data. So now when the player joins, this will happen. This should be the first thing that's called. I'm going to put player in. And now we're going to run a for loop. So we're going to do plot data equals the store get async. This will get data, like literally you're getting data, and setting, you're setting data. It's pretty much what that means. We're going to do the same key, player.user_id.plot, right? We're concentrating the string to plot, that's the key, same key. And then we're doing the same plot data. Right, plot data here, plot data here, plot data here. We're calling upon the table, so it'll make a table. And then we're going to check if plot data. Then we're going to iterate through it, index items in pairs. We're going to do plot data, do. Then we're going to go game.server storage, items.1. So this will get the name right here. We're going to clone it. Equals that, right? And then we're going to do clone that, and then we're going to do clone the parent equals game.workspace. No, we could just do plot. Yeah, here. So now it should be done. That is literally how you make a pretty simple plot save. Let me try it. There's nothing there, so it didn't print anything. Let me add a part to my plot on server, preferably. We're gonna add a part right there. We're gonna close it. We're gonna see what happens. Error, no. Okay. Load up. Yep, see, now we have the part right there. So it saved the part. Now to save the position, it's a little more complicated than that. We need to actually save the position. So I'm going to do item.position. Right? Now if we run it, watch what happens. Let me leave. We notice there's an error right here. Cannot store array in data store. Data stores can only accept valid UTF-8 characters, meaning it cannot accept vector 3s or vector 2s or 3D arrays. So you may be, well, how the heck do I save the plot position? Well, that's very simple. You need to do this. Local x equals items.position x, and then we do y and z. X, y, and then z. We're going to do y, and then we're going to do z. And then we can save the x, we can save the y, and then we can save the d. We can save the individual characters. Now if we run it, it will load up. And we notice we still have the part. Now if we do this, no errors. So now we save the part position. Now to set the part position is really simple. Clone.position equals vector3.no. Right? So this is the first item in the table, right? This is the second, this is third, this is fourth. So we got to do items 2, items 3, items 4. This will set the position to that saved point, right? Now if we load up, we notice that that point is there. Now I'm going to go place a part somewhere crazy. Let's put it, insert a new part, let's put it over here. We're going to put another part right here, put another one there, put it there. We're going to put them all over, right? We're going to duplicate all this and just move it to like there. Yeah. Now if you look around, we have parts everywhere. Now if we leave, it's saved. Now we're going to rejoin. We notice the parts are in the same place, right? Because we saved the position. Before it would end up in the middle, right here. But now they save everywhere because we saved the position. Now what if you want to add to the position or divide the position? You can also divide the position. You can do divided by 2 or divided by 2. You can divide all these by 2, right? And now if you join, the position will be divided by 2. And they're closer to me because I divided them by 2. You can also multiply them. You can do whatever you want with those numbers. That is how you save a plot. So let me go over what I did. So I got the players, and I connected it to whenever the player joins, we're going to do a function, right? Now, normally when the player leaves, you don't want to do a bind to close. You would want to do a player removing function. That is a very simple. It's literally just players.player removing. It automatically fills it in for you. So then when I got the data store, right? And then I basically, when the player joined, I called the function when the server closes. We're going to make a new table, empty table. And for all the items inside of the player's plot, so SamJ22 plot, we're going to get the children, get all the items in there, and we're going to get your positions. And then we're going to insert them into a table, both by the name and then the position, right? And then we're going to save that table to a data store. Now when the player joins again, it's going to call the same function, which is good. We want that. So it sets it up whenever they leave. This won't happen until the server ends, right? And then we're going to make the same table, right? Plot data. And we're going to get the plot. We're going to create a new item called plot. So we can place stuff in, right? When the player places stuff, it's going to go in their plot. So we had to create that item object. We're going to create a folder called plot, or called player name.plot inside of the workspace. And then we're going to get the plot data. In the data store, we're going to get async, the player data using our key right here. It's the same as this. We're going to get the plot data. And then if there's plot data, if it's not nil, then we're going to, for all the items in the plot table, all the items in the all the items that we saved up here, it's going to clone them, oops, it's going to clone the items from the server storage. So right here, it's going to clone this thing or whatever the name is. You can have like, let me do this too. We can have red brick, and we can name it red. Red, and we could do this yellow if we want. It'll clone the item, right? Actually, I'll do an example of that right now. Let me join. Paste into, and we're just gonna put a red brick. Now keep in mind the reds weren't here before, right? They will be now, once we rejoin. Now we're gonna exit, we're gonna play. Now we notice the reds are here because we, that's a cool shape. It's a little rocket. It's nice. We, basically, save the name. So whatever the name is, if the name is part, if the name is rifle, if the name is house, it'll save it and clone that item into the workspace or your plot. So it'll go into the player plot, right? So then we clone the position. And then we clone it and put it to the plot, which we call the player name.plot for that specific player's plot. And then we clone that position. This will set the position of the cloned part to the vector3.new of the item, the positioning we saved up here, the X, Y, and Z. So this is X, this is Y, this is Z. That is how you make a save player plot. I have this on my Roblox profile, Sandry22, if you need help, or message me on Discord. See ya.